Here on the shores of Lake Geneva in Switzerland, and the biggest art museum in the world, a museum behind closed doors that admits no visitors. For here, unknown thousands of paintings have become hidden investments. They live under the pavements and behind the protection of complex combination locks. A Swiss bank vault, the essence of discretion and secrecy. And it was only in secrecy, on a written undertaking we did not reveal the name of the bank, that we were allowed into this vault to film the secret of the Mona Lisa's smile. She has a sister.
So it's travelled quite a long way. From Italy?
From Italy to Somerset, to Isleworth.
And now eventually to a Swiss bank vault.
This, it's claimed, is the other Mona Lisa, painted in Leonardo's studio between 1501 and 1504.
It should be hidden away from the public, from the world.
It's now owned by a syndicate of Swiss businessmen. One of the members of that group is lawyer Fred Didet.
First of all, she looks much younger than the Lure one. She's more graceful, her hand is nicer, her eyes are nicer, and we make some technical research, and we can say that the painting is from that time, from Leonardo da Vinci's time.
But to be accepted as a work by Leonardo, the painting has to face a battle of authentication, made more difficult by the fact that there are more than 60 known copies of the Mona Lisa in existence, some of them hanging in the world's finest galleries. But this picture is different. It's not a copy. And there's documentary evidence that Leonardo did paint two versions. A 16th century historian, Giovanni Lamazzo, wrote a book about Leonardo's work in 1584 and refers to two separate paintings, the Gioconda and the Mona Lisa. Then there's Giorgio Vasari, who visited Leonardo's studio.
Leonardo undertook the portrait of Mona Lisa and left it incomplete after working at it for 4 years.
This version is indeed incomplete. The portrait of the woman herself is undoubtedly fine. The background, however, was obviously painted on at some later date, and no stretch of the imagination could congratulate the hand responsible for the ugly clumps of trees to either side of the subject's face. So, in the 16th century, they thought there was a second portrait, with an unfinished background. It was then that the trail went cold, very cold, for hundreds of years. And the story of the two Mona Lisas was not revived until just before the First World War. It was then that an art expert and collector called Hugh Blaker, who at the time was curator of a museum in Bath, found the painting at a country house in Somerset, which he was convinced was the long-lost second version of the Mona Lisa. Well, he bought the painting, and eventually it came here to the banks of the River Thames and to Blaker's house in West London. And it was while it was here that the painting acquired the rather incongruous and undignified title, the Isleworth Mona Lisa. Blaker himself was convinced he had Leonardo's long-lost second version, but he had to prove it. And both Blaker and the present owners continue their efforts to prove that this is the lost Mona Lisa.
You've done tests on the canvas?
On the canvas, we make tests on the canvas, and we can assure that we can make proof that the canvas is of that time.
And what about the pigment of the paint?
The pigment of the paint, we've also made some research, and we can say that the pigment are from that 60th century.
And the craquelure on the painting?
The crack, it comes from the time of this picture. I mean, it's 400 years, 500 years old.